Okay, we are live now. I'm trying to make sure the both of us are on the screen.
Okay.
Okay, let me just check it right here. Technology.
Kind of like the technology is kind of like the Bible. You got to master it so that you're not succumbing to someone else's interpretation.
Oh Lord, and that coming from the technology guy over here. So all I
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
say is yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, um, okay, I'm going to trust that this technology is my friend now. Um, it says we are live, so I'm going to go with it and introduce myself. My name is Dr. Tamia Austin. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the executive director of the As One Foundation, where our mission is to empower families globally, delivering life-saving sickle cell education. And that mission is as a result of our board determining that it was time for a mission pivot after approximately, uh, was that 2012, 8 years, 8, 9 years of a sickle cell trait focus primarily. Earlier this year, we decided to envelop the sickle cell world in itself wholly. So we now embrace sickle cell as well as sickle cell trait education in all things that we do, all events and activities. And that mission is also what was the precipice to us merging with a sickle cell focused organization for 6 years, Hope for SCD, which was led by Lisa Rose, who is now with us and has been just an excellent addition of a wealth of knowledge that we've been sharing through all of our posts, our emails, and we have so much more in store. We were originally doing these talks under the name of Trait Warrior Tuesday, and that is where we first introduced our guest for today. We have the honor and privilege to have Dia back with us again today on Warrior Talk Tuesday to tell us about his story. He is a trait warrior, but his story is very much so bigger than that. And he's done some pretty amazing thing with the creation of the very first of its kind gaming and dating community application. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to let our guest introduce himself. Welcome, Dia.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Austin. Glad to be back.
So glad to have you, man. So glad to have you. So tell us all about you and that logo, that snazzy logo behind you.
Well, SwaggerScan is the world's first dating/gaming application for those who wish to avoid STDs. And we were founded in 2013, and here we are in 2020 preparing for our first ever major launch. So I'm pretty excited about where things are right now. And from where we left off last, Dr. Austin, I have you to thank for, walking me back away from that cliff I was on, as you recall, the last time we spoke, because the last time we spoke, let me just, go ahead and start it off. The last time we spoke, I was actually gearing up to launch, and this was last year. And things didn't happen the way I had planned. And, if any entrepreneurs are listening, I understand that it's a par for the course thing for, your launch to stall. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I thought the world was going to come to an end when it happened. So I have you to thank as counsel who, again, talked me off of that cliff of not giving up at that moment just because of an adversity at that moment.
Right. So you and I know what we're talking about. But let's tell our viewers, as if they've never met you before and have no idea what SwaggerScan is. Let's tell them, well, let's first start briefly with your story. And you know what? Let's do this. Why don't you tell us how you learned of your sickle cell trait status?
Sure. Well, interestingly enough, it was at football practice in college. And I had gotten sick. I had gotten the flu in spring practice at East Carolina University, and it just, I tried to drudge on because we were practicing, and I'd gotten too sick in practice, and they sent me directly from practice to the campus infirmary. And so at the infirmary, they ran a lot of tests, and I'll never forget the nurse came back with results from the tests they ran, and she was like, "Well, Mr. Hicks, I have to inform you that you have the trait for sickle cell." I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what sickle cell was or anything. I'm like, if you were a fly on the wall and if you'd have seen the horror on my face, like I really didn't know what she was telling me. And I immediately walked out of the infirmary and called my mom.
Okay, wait. So she told you have sickle cell trait and that's it?
Well, you're right. I left out some things.
Okay.
When she said that to me, my mind went blank. And so have you ever seen one of those movies where everything is silent after someone says something that you're really focused on? So that's what happened. Like she was standing there talking, but all I was thinking was I have the trait for sickle cell. And I was waiting for her to shut up so I can go and call my mom. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm like, "Mom, why didn't you tell me I had a trait for sickle cell?" She said, "I got it from my parents, and you never told me this." And she was like, "What are you talking about? Firstly, I don't have the trait. Maybe your father has it, but do you know what that is?" And I'm like, "No." And then she explained, and I'm like, I started to really, take in some deep breaths and realize that it's not bad. Okay. Woo. And so, and then I had to actually walk back into the infirmary to find out, hey, why am I sick right now? And they say, "Oh, you have the flu," so that's my story.
Okay. And so then fast forward to the fascinating but not so pleasant experience that you encounter dating,
Right.
that we do talk about, and we do share as much as you can share about that.
Right. Well, I was dating someone, and we both found out we had the trait, and we could no longer be together once we found that out, and we kind of, you know, still tried to date, but once her family found out, that was it. And
Yeah.
so heartbroken me was kind of at odds with that. You find someone you want to be with, and then all of a sudden you can't because of this thing, and you totally understand why, but yet still it's an odd thing to explain to family and friends who already knew you guys as a couple and that whole thing. And so, heartbroken me kind of left that in the back of my mind one day when I was at my wit's end with what I wanted to be in life, and I prayed about it. And literally, this concept, the SwaggerScan concept, which I named it SwaggerScan, but the concept itself came from, some call it meditation, others call it prayer. So the way I was brought up, it's called prayer. And I prayed, but the only difference, and I do want to share this testimony with those of us who pray and are prayer warriors, I never prayed out loud until that day. I was really at my wit's end with everything, and I want to share that because what happened was, as I was praying out loud in real time, I could hear myself praying, and so I started to realize the kind of the monotone prayer that I always had for the Lord, and I started really getting more sincere with my words. And in that prayer, I asked the Lord to take this gift. I've always heard we all have a special gift that no one else has.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew what my special gift was in sports. I have the ability to, when I'm really passionate about something, if something gets me real passionate, I can take it. I can work harder than anyone else towards that passionate thing that I'm so passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that, I just have to find things that I'm passionate about, and then it all comes out. So it used to be football. And then football, I played football until I was 29. And then once that was taken away, it was kind of like that light was turned off within me, and I didn't know where it went or how to get it back. So within that prayer, I asked the Lord, please take that passion that you gave me and
Mm-hmm.
bind it with something that you would have me do. That was my prayer, and I prayed it out loud. And I never prayed that sincerely before in my life.
Wow.
And
wow.
Just like before within my relationship with the Lord, he always speaks to me within my own consciousness. And so I heard my own consciousness answer back when I said this prayer. You remember that thing you went through with that person you dated? Figure out a solution for that. And I got quiet, and I'm like, okay, well, my solution, when I thought of that happening, because let me tell you, when that happened to me, the thoughts that came over me was, man, there needs to be something, a service or something out there that kind of gets in the way of that kind of encounter, so that people, we aren't catching the problem. We aren't, again, catching the problem. We're getting out in front of the problem. And so I left it there in my mind. And so when the Lord spoke to me in my conscience and said that to me, my response was, well, Lord, when I thought of that, my solution was technically based. It had to be something on the internet. And I'm not at that time, Dr. Austin, I was not a technical person. I had MySpace was as much
Okay.
technicalities as I understood back then. I wasn't an internet person. And so I answered back in my prayer that, hey, I'm not a technical person, Lord. And I got answered again. You remember you wanted all these other things that you wanted to be in life until you prayed about it. Remember that? So I'll skip a lot of what that prayer was about. But the ultimate thing that happened from that prayer was that I stood up in belief. And belief is what got me to this point in this moment. Because, yeah, you can have all the confidence and you can be sure your business is gonna make it and all this stuff.
Right.
But belief is a whole different ingredient, because belief will keep you from stopping when someone else tells you should stop.
Well,
It'll
you
keep
preaching
you.
there, sir. That preaches, as they say.
I'll shut up. But it's just a lot. I mean,
No,
bottom line
continue,
is,
continue. This is great to hear. And this part I have not heard before. I know where you are now, and I can't wait for people to find that part out. But this is good. This is really good to know the real origins of SwaggerScan. So.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's the belief is the DNA of SwaggerScan. Because if you can imagine, first of all, let's start with the name. You know, I'm a 47-year-old formerly professional guy who has some company called SwaggerScan. You know, imagine how my family feels or has felt up until, you know, recent success. You know, everyone's tried to talk me away from it. You know, oh dear, it's time to give it up. It's time to, you know, and they really didn't understand the interior workings of what was happening. And what was happening is, you know,
Dia, I lost the volume. Are you there? Dia is connecting to audio. Dia did not connect to audio. Oh, we lost Dia all the way. Gosh, did we really? We really did. I'm looking on my screen. Maybe he'll come back. Hopefully he'll come back. And as he does come back, I'll just take, okay, I think.
I'm here.
Okay, there you are. Okay, come
Yeah.
on in. We see your name and soon to see your face.
Um, hmm.
You probably need to ask. Okay, there you are.
There we are.
Okay. So the family was
Okay.
saying it's probably time to let it go.
Yeah, family, relationships, friends. You know, this is this has been a very Moses-like trek for me. You know, because everyone thought I was crazy up until about a year ago, and then with the onset of the pandemic, you know, I mean, you can honestly say, look at God. I look like some genius for having a solution to, you know, one of the solutions. This is not the complete solution to end the pandemic, of course, but it's certainly going to help. And here I am with something I started 7 years ago because the Lord, you know, told me to do it. And here I am again, appearing as if I'm some genius, but I'm telling all your followers, you heard it here first. I'm just a soldier. I'm no genius, you know.
So what is it? What is SwaggerScan? Do you want to start with the name or what it actually is?
Well, I'll circle back to the name. What it is, again, is the world's first dating/gaming app for those who wish to avoid STDs. Now, the website is up. If you go to SwaggerScan.com, you can join early. You can also purchase our apparel. We have some pretty fly apparel, you know, swag, and you can also get tested, which is the most important thing you can do on SwaggerScan. We offer access to testing for all common STDs, COVID-19, and the trait for sickle cell. And SwaggerScan is the only place in the world where two people can schedule a date together to get tested. Now, our dating features will be launched with the application, and I'm happy to inform that, again, I've just gotten funded, and we're about to go into app development soon, and we're shooting for the end of the year for a launch, but at the very latest, early 2021, and I'm really excited.
So can you just tell me, why would I want to go on a date? Or how does that even happen, that I'm going to go on a date and get tested for an STD or COVID-19 or sickle cell trait? How does that work? How does your brain even come up with something like that?
Well, it's really about giving options and giving access to different styles and different types of daters within where we are with this whole disease thing. And, we understand that some conversations get that deep, and we have to think about our young ones and when you're young and you're on the internet, first of all, you were born into the internet,
Mm-hmm.
and so their trust level is a little different than ours, So if you have enough pictures on your profile and your bio is very intricate, and you get into an extended conversation with someone, after one or two conversations, they get pretty trusting. And while they get pretty trusting, they still carry a little bit of mom and dad sense with their conversation. So they do want to have the option of getting tested. Now, if someone like myself who gets tested all the time gets challenged to get tested, and I meet someone who also feels the same way, then I'm not, hey, if you want to go and get tested as our first encounter, that's what I'm talking about. That's the most romantic thing we can do, because anything on the other side of that is all good with me. But before that, I could care less about your favorite color, your favorite, food, your favorite vacation spot. After we get tested, I'll start caring about that stuff. I promise.
So give me a scenario. How does this work in a real life scenario? I mean, you describe yourself as a cure for the swipe culture, and that is, these dating apps and swiping right and swiping left.
Sure.
I've had the privilege of observing a public health research study about the swipe culture, but thankfully, having been with one guy for 22 years and married for 14 of those years, I cannot say at all that I'm an expert in the swipe culture. However, I am aware of it. So what is the scenario of SwaggerScan within the world of all of these other dating applications?
Great question. We aren't reinventing the wheel.
Okay.
In other words, on SwaggerScan, the functionalities will include all of the things that people are normally used to on a dating app. You will have swipe capabilities. You will have to have the ability to match your profile and your likes and dislikes into our algorithm and be matched with someone else who shares the same common interests. So all the normal bells and whistles that one would experience on the Tinders of the world and eHarmonies and Bumble, there you're going to get the majority of the same experience. And the only difference is with us, you have a platform where you can begin things with the most important questions of our time, and that is health history related questions. Again, I care less about your favorite color, and I care more about your health history. And so I understand that, and please understand for your listeners that people are going to lie to you. It's not about that. It's not about whether someone is going to lie or tell the truth to you. It's about the fact that you're beginning your encounter, that is, you're beginning your encounter the right way. Mm-hmm. And these are questions that you're going to follow up on. Yeah, I'm asking you this, I'm from the South, so Miss Lady, I'm asking you this, Miss Lady. I'm asking you if you've been tested. But of course, you can tell me yes. I'm going to follow up on that. I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to want to see it,
And so, there's a progression with the app that gets you closer to that as well, right?
Well, absolutely. But I don't want to pull away from the most important happening within the encounter again, and that is the conversation. Because think about it. Where is there on God's green earth can we begin a conversation with those kinds of questions without it being weird, even including hereditary conditions? What if, we use the new word finesse, finesse your way into facts important facts gathering by leading in with hereditary conditions. These are things that we all should know when it comes to hereditary conditions. But again, back to the platform in the conversation, which is the most important thing about SwaggerScan. Again, if I'm on any of these other dating apps, if I'm in the grocery store, in the bank, and wherever, in the club, and I meet someone, it's going to be really weird if I begin the conversation with, "Hey, when was the last time you've been tested?"
Yeah.
That's not going to be something that flies well with the get to know. But on SwaggerScan, it's expected, it's accepted, and it's encouraged. And again, that is the most powerful thing about SwaggerScan.
So, with as it relates to the trait testing, so there's not a SwaggerScan restaurant and lounge that we end up at.
Coming soon.
The app itself will provide the closest or most convenient lab. Is that how you're associating people to get tested for various things, and also talk about why and how the sickle cell trait came into the picture?
Exactly. It does allow you to view nearest locations. If your listeners can go to SwaggerScan.com right now, scroll down to Get Tested, and when you click on Get Tested, you'll see Order Testing. Click on that blue button, and then that's going to take you through into the different testing options. But what you're going to be able to do is punch in your zip code, and the nearest locations, the testing facilities nearest you, whether you're in Boston, the Bahamas, or Bermuda Triangle, you'll be able to find a location nearest you. It's international. Wonderful. And when it comes to sickle cell, again, how my story ties into it is because of my story with my experience with that happening with someone I wanted to be with, and we shared the trait. And because the Lord spoke to me and said, create that solution, my initial efforts to start what we now know as SwaggerScan was all related to it being a service for people with sickle cell and the sickle cell trait.
Okay.
But I was at the very beginning of my understanding of the problem, and the Lord knew who He was giving this to. That's why I was giving it. So I did my research, and in my research, I found how common not only the sickle cell trait was. You were talking 1 in 12 minorities have the trait for sickle cell, and there's no public service announcement. There's no, kind of an outline on how you should kind of walk in life so that we get out in front of the problem. And so I understood, okay, boom. Okay, Lord, I'm with you. I'm with you. In other words, as I began my research, my fire began to grow. And I started doing more research. And because I'm on websites doing this research, I'm on websites like the CDC and the WHO, World Health Organization, looking at these statistics. And naturally, the Lord knew. Naturally, I was going to, stumble upon the more horrific statistics. Now, for me to say that, statistics that have 1 in 12 minorities with the trait for sickle cell, there's something more horrific, then that should, raise everyone's eyebrow, because what I stumbled upon was two facts. One was that 15, those between the age of 15 and 24, 1 in 4 people between the ages of 15 and 24 has some form of an STD in the United States. But then I saw that 44% of Black women has an STD in the United States. What? And that's you want to talk about a small fire that just set my whole body on fire.
Sure.
And the Lord knew, like the Lord knew that when I started on this track, what was going to happen, because because that's exactly what happened.
What's the age group for this, that SwaggerScan targets?
Great question. It is 18 and up.
Okay.
It is 18 and up.
Okay.
And why, and for your listeners, someone's going to think, oh, it's a great socially responsible service. It should be accessible to teenagers, blah, blah, blah. No, it shouldn't, and here's why. This is for grown people, and you don't want your teenager being accessible to some grown, super grown person. You don't want that. So right. It's 18 plus.
And, going to the sickle cell, because hello, that is our world. There are people that are 18 and older and much older that are walking around with sickle cell trait and don't know it. And they will be in a situation similar to what you came to, and they'll make a decision one way or the other. And what I feel totally 100% in support of is whatever your decision is, let it be an informed decision. Because there are people that did find out that they were trait positive and still chose to be together and procreate and so on. And but they knew that both of us as parents have a 1 in 4 chance of having a child with sickle cell disease every pregnancy. It doesn't run out or, get watered down. It's with each pregnancy, you're rolling that dice. And some people will take that chance, and others did not know and wished they knew, and had they known, would have made a different decision. So this information that this opportunity that SwaggerScan provides is one of knowledge. It's one of information. It's one of informed, decision making. And even the fact that you are now able to also direct to COVID testing, the adaptability of the service that you're providing to our current day. What's not to like? What's not to like about this another information tool? And we need it all. Our information says there's 4 million people in the United States with sickle cell trait, and the vast majority of them don't know. And then there is also the knowledge beyond the ethnicity, the assumption that this only affects people with brown skin and
that's right.
African American. And we also know that this is something that could affect anyone, because the statistics are that it affects people of Asian, Latin, Mediterranean, Greek, Turkish, Caribbean descent. And we know that there are individuals with blonde hair and blue eyes in all of those ethnicities. So sickle cell trait can affect anyone. Sickle cell anemia or disease can also affect anyone. So this is, again, another tool. But not to get off of my stump, how does the gaming portion of this work that makes it a dating and gaming community?
Can I just follow up on what you just said before we go there? Because I see one of my missions within what I'm doing is to help bring all help bring all organizations that deal with hereditary conditions together. Because, as the saying goes, we are stronger together. Mm-hmm. And what we all need to understand, exactly. And what we all need to understand, we have the same fight when it comes to our walk in life. Because we're all walking around with different traits, be it cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, you have the same ratio there where if you procreate with someone else who has these other traits, you fall victim to the same thing with your offspring, and we don't want that. We want to get out in front of that. And again, by partnering with all of our different family that share these common things, we have a stronger, louder, bigger, wider, vaster voice. And that's going to be one of my missions. I'm already, racking up my sickle cell, organizations where I'm partnering with across this great land and across the world that I want to do. But in doing so, I want to also partner with cystic fibrosis and Huntington's disease organizations and bring them into the fold by having one major event where it's all about hereditary traits, and then we can all, cross network,
Yeah.
and again, our thing becomes bigger. So I just wanted to share that. And
I
so,
appreciate that. Yeah.
no problem. And to discuss the gaming and how that works is, I'm pretty excited about that because it too helps or influences you to go and get tested. And what I mean by that is this. So you have your phone in your hand. No, I'm just giving you an example of how it works. So you have your phone in your hand. You downloaded the app that is soon to come, SwaggerScan. You receive a notification, and you look at the notification, and it reads, object near you, and I'm paraphrasing, object near you 10 feet away. And so now, then you see that under that, it says how many points you are to collect if you capture this object. And so why would your, grown self want to go and play a game and capture objects for points? Why? Because it's not too far from you. And if you gather those points, you can access different features within the app. For instance, instead of having access to singles in your town in Atlanta or here in Florida, I can have access to singles nationwide or internationally, depending on the amount of points that I have. So that's essentially how the game works. And then for the largest amount of points one can gather by capturing an object, you get a notification on your phone, and you see that it reads cube, which is the object name that garners the most points. You see the cube is available, but it is 5 miles away. Now, obviously, it may be ridiculous for you to, throw on your house shoes and run out the door and go capture that object immediately, but you do plan on leaving the house an hour from now. You tell yourself to run out to the grocery store. So you're going to capture that object when you leave the house. And then you leave the house, you drive up to that object, and you find out, oh, this is the testing facility. This is the health clinic.
Mm.
And so my point of taking you on that little rendezvous is that the object that garners the most points will be located at the testing facilities. And so those that are playing the game will over time become less fearful of going to the health clinic, know where it is, and when they get back to the app and begin conversations where someone challenges them to get tested, they already know where it is. They'll just go and get it done. So again, the object of the game is to, gather as many points as you can, and also get the most amount of points where the testing facilities are located nearest you.
Well, I just think this is so great, and I am 100% championing anything that helps us, directly or indirectly increase literacy about sickle cell and in general public health. And this is definitely a public health application that might not be so sexy as far as your marketing, but hey, I can appreciate that, and I wish you the absolute best. I'm really, really excited for having met you. I read about you in the FAMU, and I believe it was, and fate would have it, God's will would have it that we would hit it off by conversation over the phone, and here we are. And you have not given up in 7 years, and fortitude is what's required. We certainly at the Aswan Foundation have been through a myriad of changes, and all of those changes have gotten us to where we are, and we're better today. Our mission is to empower families globally with life-changing, life-saving sickle cell education. And however we can do that, however we can support doing that, that's what we intend to do. We have a number of things that are coming up. We're right here in the middle of our very short, actually tomorrow. Tomorrow is our founder's late mother, Wendy Ann Darling's birthday. It would have, I believe she would have been 67 tomorrow. Wow. And her sons were both trait warriors. She was a trait warrior, and we are commemorating her life by establishing the International Sickle Cell Caregiver Appreciation Day. Tomorrow will be the first day that we do it, and we have much bigger plans for the years to come. We lost her earlier this year, so we'll put in the comments that if you have a sickle cell caregiver that you would like to acknowledge. The tributes that have come in so far have been so touching. It's literally a 2-minute form to complete, and we can have these posts shared tomorrow, and they'll live on our website. That's one of the things that's going on with the As One Foundation. And then coming up in September, it is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. So we have our We Run As One virtual Darling Dash month-long list of activities, activities for the entire month. We'll share more about that. And then for the month of August and September, we will bring Warrior Talk Tuesday to you every Tuesday. So please stay tuned for that. And in keeping with this whole testing conversation, giving blood, that is literally and figuratively our lifeblood. Sickle cell trait carriers can donate blood as well as marrow. So we are in support of the Be the Match program. Hey, well, maybe SwaggerScan can get involved in the Be the Match, and have folks find their way to donate as well, not just be tested, but donate healthy blood and plasma and marrow. Because, and I'm hoping I'm going to say these statistics right, African Americans or people of African descent in the United States have a 24% chance, that's a big chance, of needing a marrow transplant or blood, but only represent 4% of the registry. And that really needs to change, because when it comes to sickle cell and those that want to go for the marrow transplant, it is dire that they are able to find a good match, a good marrow match. And the only way they're going to do that is if their match is in the registry, and it increases their chances of finding a good match. If there are donors that are willing to donate their marrow in the event that their ticket is called. So we are supporting the message of Be the Match, specifically for the months of August and September, trying to increase the registry with Black American participants. And just because you sign up to be the registry does not necessarily mean that your ticket will be called, but you are a willing donor in the event. And they do a whole lot, to take care of their donors. There's no expense to the donor. All expenses are paid if it ever comes to that. But we got to get that 4% up to at least matching the possibility of need. So with all of that said, join us here next Tuesday and the subsequent Tuesday after that for Warrior Talk Tuesday. Please visit our website, asonefoundation.org, and the As One Foundation on Facebook and As One Foundation on all other social media platforms. We'll post that in the comments. SwaggerScan.com is listed in the comments, and I will give you, Dia, the last words.
Oh, well, I will share with your listeners a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, and that is, objection, evasion, joyous distrust, and love of irony are all signs of health, but pathology is absolute.
That was pretty deep.
In other words, I don't care what your favorite food is, your favorite color is. Let's get tested, and then we'll start caring about all that other stuff. That's what that means.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Ladies and gentlemen, SwaggerScan.com. Dia Hicks, the founder, the creator, the inspiration. Let's follow. Let's support our own. And thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Dia, for joining us. We'll be seeing you again.
Thank you.
See you all next week on Warrior Talk Tuesday.